Hi Dharini, welcome to Talk 20. If you can tell us very briefly what do you do, and so that our viewers get an idea of what exactly you do.
Sure. I call myself a brand developer.
Right.
Just to put it very short as much as possible, I am the connection between the startup and the market, because a lot of startups struggle to find customers. Even though they have a great product, they have a great idea, sales aren't what they want it to be. So my job is to come and fix that situation for them.
All right. That's very interesting. Levanjit, would you like to start us off?
Yes, Sanka. So, Dharini, startups have been booming in Sri Lanka and all over the world within the last couple of years, and also in this year as well. Even though it does come up, in the sense it does boom, most startups tend to shut down within 3 to 6 months. Is there any particular reason for that?
There's a couple of reasons, actually. One is that they don't know what it takes to build a successful business. Like I said, they think if they have a great idea or they have a great product, they're going to have immediate sales, right? Which is never the case, because if the product and the way you present it doesn't connect with your customers, they're not going to be interested, right? That's one reason. Another reason is that they don't utilize their capital as well as they should. So they tend to spend on things that they don't really need. They burn through it really fast because they assume that sales are going to pick up very quickly, right? And then they just run out of road before things pick up and they give up. Another reason, I think, is because more and more now people are starting because they're looking for financial freedom, this idea of financial freedom. So whether it's a side hustle or they're quitting their 9 to 5 altogether, they're looking for something that's going to make them more money, right? And they think it's going to be easier than working for someone else. And nothing prepares them for what's about to come, yeah? There is no substitute for experience. You cannot learn this stuff from YouTube, from buying a course, having a mentor. There's absolutely no substitute. You have to get in the trenches and do it and find out whether you are willing to put in that much hard work or whether you want to go back to an easier life where you work for someone else and someone else is responsible for paying you every month.
Correct.
Yeah. And that's a tough choice to make. And I think that's also a reason why a lot of people give up their side hustles and think, you know what, I'll come back to this later, maybe in 10 years' time when things are a little bit better, you know? There's a lot of those as well.
Right.
Yeah.
So when they do come back, then probably the world has evolved a little bit more, and then that particular
Correct.
idea might not be in style at the moment.
Well, I mean, it depends, right? So if it's like a very innovative idea at the time, then yes. So if it's a tech-based idea, for sure, you know, those things get outdated very fast. But if you were thinking of doing a clothing business, for example, cupcake business, you know, something very simple like that, anything to do with lifestyle, those things don't really go out of style.
Correct.
Right?
Correct.
Those are forever things that we need. So at least for now.
Yeah, true.
So, and Dharini, like said, if it were hypothetically a clothing brand that were to reach out to you, do you handle their branding, their marketing, or is there a specific aspect of their business that you handle and advise them on?
So my job is twofold, right? One part is to create a brand that attracts customers, right? And the other part is to find out what's the best way to use their marketing budget to get as much sales and profits as possible. Yeah?
Right.
So, two sides. Sometimes some businesses only need the branding part because they know how to do the rest of it by themselves, or they have an in-house team maybe that can help them out. But some businesses that are looking at fast expansion, for example, or they're expanding into new markets, they need a little bit of guidance. They need to know how to use their new branding, their new identity. They need help training their team on how to launch it and how to maintain it consistently and how to speak to new types of customers because it's a new market, for example. Yeah. So it really depends. There's really no simple answer for these questions. It really depends on the problems that this particular client has. And I will do my best to use as many different fields of my knowledge as possible.
So there's no plug and play solution.
Sorry?
There's no plug and play solution.
No, there really isn't. Every business is different. Every problem is different.
Okay.
So touching on the previous questions, why do most startups really struggle to achieve that, I say, disruptive business status, where somebody's referred to as this disruptive entity?
Okay, so when we say disruptive, what we mean is they've come up with a new product or a new way of doing something
That's right.
that completely makes everything else in that industry just obsolete, right? That industry is now all old tech. We are moving into a new way of doing things, right? I think apart from AI, we haven't really seen that much development from the tech side recently, right? There's not a lot of new ideas of new ways of doing things. So coming up with the idea is really hard. That's number one. Number two, you might have a really great idea, but you might not have the tech to do it, to execute on it, right? You might be far ahead of your time, right? The other reason could be government regulation, might not be supportive. So if you take the drone industry as an example, because I have a client.
Right.
So it's a very interesting industry because they have the capacity to entirely disrupt the cargo and logistics industry, right? Completely transform that. But they can't because government regulation does not allow drones to fly
in specific areas
without licenses, and you have to take a license for every flight, and it's a nightmare, right? So even though drones can do it cheaper, better, faster, you just can't.
It's a weird
It's a civil aviation authority issue,
right?
huh?
Yeah. So that's another one. And then the other thing, I think, is when you have a truly disruptive idea, you might have a few early adopters, but it's really difficult to get to that majority stage. So you have that disruption curve, right? You have your innovators, early adopters, early majority, large majority, and then finally the laggards, right?
Yeah.
So to go from early adopters to majority is really hard, yeah? So, for example, if you take drones again and cargo. So the idea that, let's say there's a small business and they have a contract with CityPack or UPS or FedEx or whatever, where they come to the office every day and they pick up all the packages every single day, end of business day, right? So now you've already set up that system. You don't have to worry about that anymore. And now this person comes and says, hey, we have this new solution, new way of doing this. It's going to be cheaper. But what the business owner is hearing is, oh, so I have to think about this again, right?
Yes.
I have to put up a new system again. I have to retrain my staff on how to handle this. It's a headache. I already dealt with this problem. I don't
Yes,
want to do
I
this.
understand.
There is major resistance from the customer, right? So there will be a few people who will see that this is actually a good thing, that it's actually going to help my business. So yeah,
Right.
I'm going to use this. So those are your early adopters. But to get to that majority status is very hard, right?
because you have to individually convince each and every person on a particular board
Yes.
or the hierarchy, basically.
Correct. Yeah.
And if there's a huge price difference, I suppose
Correct.
there's some sort of incentive. But
Yes,
if there
but
isn't,
convenience is also, I think, underrated in these situations. And that's where communications come in. Because how you say a thing is also very important, right? So
that's why you come in.
that's where I come in.
Right.
Because you have to understand that customers don't know your business the way that you do. They do not see the
Exactly.
benefits of your product the way that you do, right? You have to help them see it. You have to paint a picture for them that they can relate to. Yeah. So Steve Jobs did this best with the iPod, right? 1,000 songs in your pocket.
Correct.
Immediately paints a picture for you.
Yeah.
Right? He did not say 1 gigabyte of space. He didn't say batteryless or
Yes.
plug and charge, or he didn't say any of that. He didn't say there's a little wheel thing for scrolling. None of that stuff. Just thousand songs in your
songs.
pocket.
Yes.
You need to be able to paint that picture for your customer. If not, they will not adopt it. They will not want it. They will not see the benefit of it. Yeah. And I think that's another reason why a lot of startups struggle, because they always see it from their perspective. They're not able to see it from the customer's perspective.
Is it mainly in Sri Lanka that this happens, or
No,
globally as
it's
well?
a global problem. It's a people
global
problem.
Right.
It's a
And
humans have trouble communicating. You know. So-
that is true. And where do you think it is at the moment in terms of the last, let's say, last couple of years? Has it grown or has it declined in terms of getting the idea across to people?
No, I think in general we're just really bad at communicating. It's where like most of the clients that come to me and they say that the sales are suffering, a lot of the time it's because they're not communicating well, right? They're always talking about product features, and in certain cases that's important, right? So, for example, if you're selling hardware to techie people, product features are absolutely important. Yeah, because those are the people that understand it. But if you're talking to laymen who have no idea, they just want a really cool phone that has a nice camera on it, right? That means like that matters a lot more than the product features. So you really need to know who you're talking to. You need to know who your customer is in order to know how to speak to them.
Right.
Yeah.
And I've also heard a phrase where they say you need to find a problem to solve in a particular business. So if you can paint that picture, it might be very easy to communicate and get the message across.
Correct. Yeah. So when you know who your customer is, you also know what their problem is. You have a better idea, right? You know what they're struggling with, and you know how your product can solve that problem. So now it's a matter of just saying it in a very simple sentence. This is what it can do for you. You know.
So say if somebody comes to you as a customer, what's your process? How do you get about advising them?
Very long conversation first.
Yeah.
So that I can understand the situation they're in as much as possible. Because usually when they come to me, they're saying, I need a logo, I need a website, I need this or that, right? And I say, okay, but tell me more about your business first, right? Why did you come to me? What are you hoping for? What do you think this new website is going to do for you, right? Then when I have an understanding of what their objectives are and why they can't get there, then I can say, okay, this is the sort of solution that we need to build out for you. Yeah. So there, again, what I'm looking at mainly is in terms of the product, how long have they been in business? How long have they been operating? Do they have any use cases? Do they have any happy customers? Those things are important. So if they're just launching very first time, unless it's a techie thing, I think for the other businesses, most of the time I will say, you know what, you need to go and test this out a little bit longer. You need to find some customers. You need to develop your product a little bit if you're going to change it. And then come to me when you feel like things are progressing.
Right.
Yeah. Because otherwise, if you spend on branding and marketing at the very beginning, there's too much that we don't know. We don't know who your customer is. You don't know what they like. You don't know what they don't like. You don't know what the competitors are doing, whether you can do better than the competitors. Because we don't know what your capabilities are. Right. There's too many things that can change. So once you have a little bit of understanding of where you're going, that's something we can work with. Yeah? So these things matter. But in terms of tech, you kind of have to, come out swinging, because ideas get stolen very fast. They get adopted very quickly, right? So with tech, it's a little bit different. And like you said, things go out of style very fast.
Very fast in tech, correct.
So it's a little bit, it really depends on the industry and the product.
So your business model basically, in Western countries, it's very familiar and famous. It's out there. In Sri Lanka, I think, Sanka, you're the first person I've come across as well who basically guides and makes startups a lucrative business. So
I don't think I'm the only one, but
yes,
there aren't many.
Yeah,
That's true.
Out of the ones I've come across, it's so what how do you basically paint the picture in terms of, say, when you approach a senior audience or senior management of the company, because they tend to have this mindset there where they think, we know our business more than anybody else. It's
which is true. They do know their business better than anyone else. But they're coming to me for a reason. There is a problem that they need to solve that they're not sure how to get about, right? I think the problem is right now, what I'm seeing, the trend is that everyone is just pushing social medias, pushing promotional stuff, like just videos and posts and ads, and they're only thinking of marketing in terms of that. They're not looking at the other aspects of marketing, which is things like, what is your pricing? What does your product look like? How do you package it? Do your promotions connect back to your product? So if you see an ad and you go to the store and you see the product on the shelf, do you make the connection between the two? Or do they look completely different, right? Where is it being sold? All of these things are important, right? If it's B2B, then what is your system there? How do you make these connections with your potential customers, with clients? Do you have a sales team, or do you have a lead generation system? What's the brand? Like, what do you do? And has it worked so far? Why is it not working so far? Right? So,
or it used to work and it's not working anymore.
yes, exactly.
Correct.
Yeah. Or why is it not good enough for you anymore? Like, these things matter, right? So it really, a lot of my job, I think, is really getting to the heart of the problem. Yeah, because fixing the problem is not that difficult, but you really have to understand where it's coming from.
Correct.
Yeah. So, yeah.
So there's this buzzword which you also mentioned earlier, also financial freedom, right? Of starting a business of your own.
Yeah.
In your experience, what should potential youth focus on before embarking on like a journey to start up a business?
Okay.
What should you do before?
Okay. What should they do before? Like I said, there's really no
Like the do's and
substitute.
don'ts, maybe like.
Okay. It's important to not be afraid. As in, here's the thing, right? Until you start doing it, you don't know how bad it's going to be or how good it's going to be. A lot of your fear is imagined. Yeah? And what you are afraid of before you start, and once you start, it transforms completely. So the things that you were afraid of are not things you are afraid of anymore, but there are things that you never thought of that are keeping you up at night for months, right? So I think you need to be prepared for that situation. And it is very much a training ground, running a startup. So going from startup to scale up phase, that is your training ground. It's a lot like going to the gym. When you start off, you don't go and bench 50 kilos dumbbells first day, right? You start off small, maybe with 1 kilos, and you work your way up, right? But if anybody told you that you have to go and do 50 kilos the first day, you're not going to go. Right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So,
Just after like 2 days, you're going to stop.
exactly, right?
Yeah.
So
Or injure yourself.
you might die if you try. You know? So you have to go with that mindset that, you know, things are going to be tough. There's a lot that I don't know, right? I'm going to be lost at sea a lot of the time. I'm not going to have any answers. And everyone I ask is not going to have answers. But I have the confidence in myself that I will figure it out eventually. Yeah, so you need that self-esteem. Not to be confused with being egoistic, which is, I feel, a mistake that a lot of startup founders make, because they tend to feel like it's my way or the highway. You know, it's I'm the king of this kingdom. What I say goes, and everybody falls in line, or you can get out, including the customer.
Correct.
Right? That happens a lot, and that's a very precarious position to take, because you are alienating all the people that are trying to help you, and you're also alienating your customers, which means you're just going to burn through your cash and you're going to be with nothing. And also, I think for a lot of people who take this approach, their self-worth is also tied to their ego. So when it fails, it really breaks them, which is a horrible thing. It's a horrible experience. So if you instead approach it from a self-esteem perspective, like, I don't know shit, but I'm going to figure this out, you know, you have a learning mindset that way, you know, and you're willing to talk to people, get advice, be coached, be supported by the people around you. You're able to utilize the abilities of everyone around you, which is, running a startup, you can't do it alone. You need a support system. I can't tell you how important that is. Like, I wouldn't be here today talking to you guys like this if I didn't have like my entire support system behind me.
Right.
Something a lot of people tell me when they see my videos, I get quite a few DMs, and they say I seem very confident. That confidence comes entirely from that support system, because they don't expect me to be perfect. They don't expect me to know everything. They know I'm going to make mistakes sometimes, but they know I'll also go and fix it. And that's fine, because we're all human at the end of the day.
We are allowed to make mistakes.
Exactly. This idea of being perfect, being a perfect person and trying to be that ideal, entrepreneur.
Yeah.
That
It's
people
very
have mainly
damaging.
painted. It's
Yeah.
exactly. You're right.
It hurts people more than it helps.
I think we talked about this last time also with Shalendra.
Yes.
The fairy tale of the Zuckerberg, the
Steve
Steve
Jobs
Jobs, and has disillusioned a lot of the entrepreneurs. in
Those
the
stories were written after success,
Correct. Correct.
right?
Because they don't really paint how much of hard work they put in. They do
Exactly.
somewhat talk about it,
Yeah.
but it doesn't really show the entire picture.
Yeah, and Steve Jobs couldn't have done it without his system, like
Definitely
that
not.
entire team behind him.
And there were so many failures. He started so many
Exactly.
businesses, failed,
Yeah.
and then eventually,
Yeah.
succeeded.
Yeah, and we tend to forget all of that and just look at, this hard-headed person.
And then you just want to be the business mogul of all time,
Exactly.
that image.
And that's fine if that's what you want, you can do it, but you have to understand that you are just one person and you will never have all the answers to everything. And you do need a bunch of different skill sets to come in and support you. You're just the person who's driving the car, right?
Right.
Correct.
Yes.
But everything
Everything else
else
has to.
is being held together by everyone else.
Correct.
Right?
And the faster you understand that is better for you.
Absolutely.
Because it's a massive risk to venture into a startup business, because you're looking at the financial aspect.
Yeah.
If it fails, then you're in trouble in terms of finances. How are you going to survive the next
Exactly.
couple of years?
Yeah.
All that needs to be taken into consideration. So
And I think even more now, for our generation, burnout is a real problem, right? I can share one of my personal
Yes,
stories. Last year, I went through a really bad phase where I was burnt out. There was too much work, not enough money coming in, a lot of problems. The typical, small business problems. And my mentor saw this and he said, you need to take 5 days off. I spoke to him on a Tuesday. He said, the next 5 days off, you need to switch off. Turn off all your screens, get away from everything. You don't have to go anywhere, just stay at home. But eat, sleep, rest, exercise. That's it. Meditate if you want to, breathing exercises, whatever, but nothing else. No books, no music, nothing. And I said, I can't afford to take 5 days off, which is a typical thing that any person working in a startup will say.
Yeah.
Right? And he's like, if you don't, you are going to have a nervous breakdown in 6 months. Can you afford that?
Yeah.
I said, okay, fine. That makes sense.
makes sense to take a couple of
Yeah,
days
so
off.
5 days, right? It's already Tuesday. My clients are not going to miss me for 3 days, right? I have a team that I can depend on. And they also said, you know what, you need a break. We'll handle shit. You go. So again, why that support system is important and why you need people around you who are watching you and taking care of you, right? Because everyone saw I was tired. Everyone saw that I was struggling. But nobody made the connection between that burnout and what can potentially happen afterwards.
Yes. Yes. And it also leads to like the entire whole thing crashing to the floor.
Exactly. Because if I'm not there to drive the vehicle,
It's going to be
everything collapses.
Exactly.
My clients are in a bad position, my team is in a bad position. That's my one job, just to keep everything together. Right?
Yeah.
And sometimes that means taking care of yourself.
And it also, I mean, sometimes we tend to, as startup owners, tend to put our personal life on the back seat also to an extent that becomes damaging.
Yeah.
So then you lose that support system.
Again, that's the narrative that we're hearing these days. That you have to sacrifice everything in
Grind
order
till you
to
make it,
get success. And have you noticed how many productivity tools there are now and how many YouTube videos there are about how to be productive all the time? We are human. We're not meant to be that, you know?
Yeah.
Work when you work, rest when you rest. But that you taking care of yourself is what makes everything else possible. Especially when you're the entrepreneur, especially when you're the founder, right? Especially when you're a leader. Because everyone else is looking to you for strength.
That's right.
That's true.
When you look like you're about to collapse, everybody else is starting to panic.
True.
You know? So if you don't have it put together, and not in a pretend way, you genuinely need to be setting a good example. You need to be taking care of yourself so that you can encourage your team also, you know, on how they should take care of themselves. Yeah. Otherwise, we come into this habit of working all hours of the day, not taking weekends off, not spending time with your family, not doing all these things, you know, not exercising, which are all important things. I mean, if not for those things, then what are you working for?
Exactly. At the end of the day, why do you work so hard?
Exactly. What is this financial freedom for? And that's really important as well. I think you need to know why you're doing this. Like, what does financial freedom look like to you, and why do you need it? What will you do with this freedom once you get it? Yeah. And it's fine if you want to be on Forbes magazine and you want to be a Fortune 500 company. You want to go out and party every night. Those are all fine. If that's happiness to you, go for it, right? But if it's not a good enough reason for you, it's not going to keep you going. And you will collapse part of the way.
So Dharini, the next question is, so Sri Lanka has sort of moved a little bit from the standard labor arbitrage, which is tea, rubber and coconut. So now we are looking at, say, BPO, software development, and a little bit like into textiles and things like that. So with the advancement of AI and as you mentioned earlier, the drones taking into effect as well, do you think there are new startup opportunities coming in for Sri Lanka? Is there any new business venture that will come up?
Well, I mean, AI is a fantastic tool, right? It's never been easier to build a digital product than it is now. You don't need that much knowledge and practice now to do this. So if you have a great idea, then this is the best time to build it out and take it into the market. But as far as I can see, that's kind of the only thing that's really changed.
Right.
Maybe, I think also there's an opportunity for people who are professionals in what they do, skilled people, to use AI to be more efficient, right? So what I'm noticing is when you're using AI, there are two factors that need to come into play. You need to know how to talk to the machine, right? So you need to be able to do a good prompt. And then you need to be able to evaluate if the answer that it gives you is good enough and accurate enough, right? So someone without that knowledge level would not be able to do that second one. They would just take whatever answer that AI gave them and run with it. So I think this is a problem that a lot of startups are having right now. They ask ChatGPT for a marketing plan and it gives it like utter garbage. And then they go and run with it and they're like, why is this not working? Right? So you still need that professional in between to evaluate and to make that prompt better when necessary, right?
That's right.
At least until we bypass that situation, I think there's an opportunity there for people. So for people without skills, I think it's going to be more difficult to get jobs, and or rather, it's going to be more difficult for them to climb that corporate ladder. But for people who already have a skill or are trying to, working on developing their skills, if they can also add this AI into their toolkit, I think there's more opportunity for them.
It's a massive advantage, actually.
It is, yeah.
So, do you feel the current setting in the country is conducive for startups?
No.
So, how could the government or the private sector or other organizations really help or build that potential?
Right. So there are 4 resources that you need for any business, right? You need your idea, you need capital, you need energy, and you need labor, right? So idea is entirely up to you. That's fine. You don't need help with that. Capital, you don't need help with, right? And just think about how difficult it is for businesses to register the business, get copyright protection, trademark protection, patents, right? Taxation laws are not helpful to startups. They're manageable by bigger established businesses, but for startups it's very difficult because your cash flow is already struggling, right? And then getting payments from abroad is ridiculously difficult.
Correct.
Right?
It's really difficult now.
Exactly, especially at a time and age where everyone is used to making payments off their phone in under 1 minute. For someone to make a payment to Sri Lanka, they have to go to the bank, fill out forms, give paperwork, sit there for an hour or two, It's a difficult process.
And it's a lot of time being wasted as well.
Exactly. So people think twice before they hire people from Sri Lanka just because it's so difficult to do something that, nobody wants to make payments in the first place. You don't want to give money, right? And now you're just making it harder to do it. So that sort of thing, I think it would be great if the government could come in and fix. It would really help a lot of startups, right? A lot of freelancers, even people like myself that work with foreign clients. Right?
They are planning on implementing something of an app called GovPay, but we don't know
That's
how.
awesome if they do that.
Yes,
Yeah.
if they do it and when they do it.
And what else? So capital, energy cost here is very high. Electric bills are very high here. But I think they are addressing that. I think they are trying to bring it down. At least they've understood that it's a problem. So that's something. But I think the biggest problem we're having here is the labor issue, because startups need skilled people more than anyone else. Yeah?
Yes.
Because it's just, so you have the founder who's doing everything and they need support. So ideally they should be hiring someone who's very good at doing one particular thing, right? Someone very skilled. But you can't afford that person because you don't have enough capital to support that person, right? So what do? Now you have to hire someone who's unskilled and then train them up to that position. But that training period is another thing now that the founder has to do. And it's very unhelpful. Yeah. I don't know how you can solve that problem, but it is very much a problem here. It's something that a lot of my clients talk about.
One probable way of doing it is looking for a seed funder or an investor. I'm not too sure how effective that is in Sri Lanka, but I do know that there are some companies in Sri Lanka who do end up in Singapore, Malaysia to get funding for their businesses.
That's right, yeah.
Have you come across anyone of that nature?
I do have some clients like that. But see, it's not something that every business goes for. Yeah. Either because they don't have the opportunity to work with an investor, or because they're afraid to work with an investor because they don't want to give up that much of their company to someone else. Right? Valid reasons, those are fine. So it's a personal choice. And if you have that resource, then definitely there's a lot that you can do with it. But nothing comes for free. Yeah? You do have to give up something for it.
Correct. Okay, I think that sums about questions for you today, Dharini. Thank you so much. Thank you again for being part of Top 20.
Thank you.
We hope to see you again soon.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah.